Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. We are November 29th, 1986. We will have all of 86 complete by the end of this day. And there's a lot of new stuff in the pipeline, so to speak. Fleshing out probably the next big storyline is done here. We see the return of the Grappler. We see other interesting things, including a six-man tag with the Von Erichs to close the show. But the Grappler against Scott Casey, feel like we've seen this before, maybe when Casey was through the first time. Anyway, Grappler and Casey, very basic match, as is to be expected. Arm holds and head scissors. Grappler coming out ahead on that. The match breaks down. Casey comes back with his more traditional style stuff, arm bars and the like. Casey has been a former Texas champion, I believe a former America's champion as well. Coming back through probably to fill in when Kerry Von Erich on the shelf. They mentioned later in today's program he'll be back in a month or two after the attack by Diaz and Madrill last week. Anyway, beautiful drop kick by Casey, and Grappler goes to the outside. Madrill catches Casey while he's standing on the apron, and I'm sorry, not Madrill, the Grappler. Got Madrill on the brain right now. Anyway, Grappler has him kind of done over, and Grappler has not seen his return to prominence, as we've seen in previous incarnations for him. Nice outside-in suplex, though, for a near fall. Scott Casey fights back from the apron, and a headbutt by Casey. Meanwhile, they take nearly 10 minutes with this match itself. And there are a lot of matches on this particular program. So a lot of short matches. It's interesting that the guys they trust get longer matches, obviously. And the guys they don't kind of get the short end of the deal. But anyway, Bulldog by Casey gets the victory. Then we go to an interview with Kerry Von Erich talking about Brian Diaz, Al Madrill. Kerry basically says he'll be out for another couple months. Yet, not quite sure how long. A couple of weeks to a month is what he's guessing. In the next interview, his brother says several months, so maybe they don't know, maybe they don't communicate, who knows there. But anyway, Kerry says he feels betrayed by Brian Diaz. Says he's known him since grade school. They actually show the bent crutch, so that's kind of an interesting thing. Kerry says he almost lost his foot, which in reality he did lose during the interview with the motorcycle accident. Then we see all of the other Von Erichs, Lance, Mike, and Kevin, talking about their disdain for Al Madrill and Brian Diaz. Kevin says he was never really a fan of Diaz. Kerry loved him, but he didn't. That's talked about pretty directly. Then we move into the next three matches, including an Al Madrill match. Madrill back after several years away from the territory. He's been both a babyface and a heel. I think he went back to the Portland area for a little while, among other places around the country. But anyhow, him being the impetus behind the Brian Diaz turn makes a lot of sense, because he had some natural heel heat. You can see he's willing to cheat, willing to do whatever it takes to get the advantage in a less than up and up way. They brawl to the outside. Madrill takes the power there, uses the ringside table as a weapon. Also finds a 2x4 or 1x4, some sort of weapon, beating his opponent, which happens to be Bart Batten over the head with the 2x4. The police actually are at ringside during this process. Somehow the referee doesn't get involved. Don't quite understand that. Also, don't understand how Batten is not busted open after getting hit in the head a couple times with a 2x4, but that's neither there nor here nor there. Madrill does manage to get things going more his way and manages to get a victory, much to Al Madrill's delight. Then we move into a semi-main event that's not really a semi-main event, to be honest with you. Tony Atlas returns here, fresh off of a couple of months before WWF TV. Dusty Peterson is his opponent. Atlas still Mr. USA, 285 pounds, looked like $1 million bucks. Baby face here. Atlas had also become involved in the last round with Abdullah the Butcher, so maybe they'll go in that direction at some point. I don't know how long Tony Atlas is here. I know he's out before the merger in '88, so maybe he's here for a year, maybe he's here for a couple of months. I really don't know how long he's here, but he's not here as a long-term solution. Tony's a guy who, when I interacted with him on the Indies, nothing but a good guy. Had a lot of inner demons. Seems to have conquered them now. I first met Tony, I think, in the year 2000, so 20 years ago. I feel old. Anyway, Atlas with the atomic drop and kind of tries to carry him through. Peterson, who really does not look like much in the ring. He actually is at a point losing his pants. He's also very flabby and not a guy that I imagine is going to be around very long. But a sleeper hold again is your victory for Tony Atlas. I do not understand the concept of a sleeper hold being his main deal, with the power being a thing. Maybe a bear hug, maybe backbreaker or something like that. But a sleeper hold does not make sense to me. Anyway, the Von Erichs versus Crusher, Adias, and Black Bart as a 6-man tag team main event. And of course, the Von Erichs in this case being Mike, Lance, and Kevin. The 6-man tag team championships on the line, and they show those belts. They're given about 12 minutes here. Bart is a former world champion. Goes to work on Mike very early. Mike, of course, coming back from the injury that he suffered and the near-death experience. Head scissors takeover several times there. Keeps the crowd, gets the crowd. Or gets and keeps the crowd, depending how you look at it. An unhappy Larry Sharp on the outside, but that's because his Crusher is not part of the match during the early stages. Of course, Crusher Yurkoff would later go on to be Bam Bam Bigelow in quick order. And I did not realize that Bigelow had more tattoos over his body. I guess I'm used to seeing him in pants and not a singlet, but he had more tattoos on his legs than I seem to remember. Anyway, Brian Diaz gets his butt beat for a few minutes, runs out, gets the tag, and proves that he does not want to fight that way. Needless to say, Lance Von Erich tags in, holds on to the arm of Yurkoff for a few minutes. They battle over that. I've never been a fan of 6-man tag team matches, just never been my thing. Kevin Von Erich enters with the drop kick, enters with a flurry of offense, and then we see kind of a breakdown. Black Bart has him in the corner. I believe it's Kevin. Kevin had beaten Bart for the championship. All 6 guys in the ring for a little bit here. And breaks things down into a complete chaotic brawl here. Kevin and Yurkov are squared off for a little bit. That is rather interesting, as you would assume there's a feud to be had there. Drop kick by Kevin right under the chin. Bigelow or Yurkov, take your name of choice, manages to bump and feed quite well. Kevin with the head scissors. Meanwhile, Pretty Boy, Larry Sharp not happy with what's going on. Tag off to Lance Von Erich. Lance comes in, tries to handle the big man best way, and he knows how. That doesn't last him very long either, but gets a drop kick that Yurkov manages to turn away from, and he uses power to get his adversary back into the corner of the heels du jour. That then leads to a breakdown where Bigelow keeps the match going for the heels. Referee goes down amidst all the fray, and the heels are the cause of that. Von Erichs are all over the ring. Nothing really gets settled in the match. I think the referee throws the match out, and we close November with chaos. Lots of it. And Kevin wants to continue fighting, including everybody, including Yurkov. There's actually a show-closing graphic of Kevin having the claw on the big man. So I would assume that is a feud to come in 1987. But until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.